Hey guys, hello and welcome to Bardock Gaming's tutorial series of RPG Maker MV. In this video we're going to cover how to make your own intro scene. And to start, I'm going to go ahead and show you an intro scene that I have for one of my games. So we're going to go ahead and play that real quick, and then I'll show you how to make something similar to that. So let's go ahead and get started with this real fast. Alright, so we got this basic thing when it shows up like this, and then you just press the button and it kind of goes through this real quick. And that's okay. Now that you've seen the intro scene that I got set up, I'm going to show you how to make something similar to that. So we're going to need a couple things. You're going to need first a little starter intro scene, and it's just a map that you make over here. And I have a couple of them already kind of pre-made up to kind of save on time. But the first one you want is going to be kind of black. And then from here, you're going to have your your player starting point here. So, but before that, you want to go ahead and make sure that your under system, you go into here and start transparent is turned on. Because if not, you'll just have this your character just kind of show up in the middle of your scene. So make sure that start transparent is on. You can find that under the little settings thing under the system. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to make sure you're under your events thing here, and you're going to start a little auto run event. And I'm just going to label it intro scene. There we go. And you're going to make sure it's an auto run event. So auto run there. Hit apply. And it's gonna be pretty simple. This one here, you're just gonna, if you have like, I don't know, I had on mine where it said 10 years ago or so. If you have something in the past or whatever, it's where you're gonna put all that stuff. So you're going to go ahead and come in here, and you're going to hit show text. If you want to say whatever, just say a long time ago, and then that. And then to center it up in the screen, I usually just pick here. Come on, right there. What's going on? There we go. Bring it down and kind of center it over. Oh, that might be too much. And you can kind of preview it to make sure it's kind of centered in this little dialog box. And then you can change it from window, dim, or transparent. The dim is the one that I used. It's just kind of like a black bar that's kind of, you can see through. And then you just put that in the middle. So it just shows up right in the middle of the screen when it shows up. Okay, so now that we got that set up, you're also going to, if that's all you want, you're just going to go ahead and I believe it's under the second page maybe. Yeah, fade out screen. So you're going to fade out the screen. And if you want any background music, you can put that in here. So you can just hit play background music. You can choose from any of the background. Did I have a, was that a music effect? No, it was background music. And you can download plugins to give you more options. These are just kind of basic, and you just kind of pick one you like. That one for now. So now it'll play that background music, fade out the screen, and then transfer the player. And it'll just transfer the player to your next place. And it's kind of somewhat in the center. They're going to be invisible, so it doesn't really matter. Just want to make sure they can actually walk through it. Alright. Then I'm going to go ahead and turn on a self switch. and then make a new event page requiring self switch A to be on. So auto run, make sure this is all good. Okay, so now it'll do that, and then it'll transfer me to this scene. I'm just going to check that out and make sure that works real quick. It should play the music, have a black screen, and then transfer me. Oh yeah, I forgot to fade in the screen on the next page. Okay, so that looks like it's working. And so after you get done with this little main intro scene, this one's going to be pretty basic. It's just a real quick thing, and then under the intro scene 2, this is where you're going to create another auto run event. I'm going to call this intro scene 2. Okay. And this is where you're going to do the other stuff. So you're going to go ahead and hit fade in screen. And doing the fade out screen on one and then the fade in screen on another kind of makes it look a little bit more smooth. You can have a fade out and a fade in on the same one, but if you want like stuff to happen in the background where people don't see it, make sure it happens while the screen is faded out, so you can get players or your little characters to move around without being seen, if that's what you choose. So just make sure that anything that you don't want players to see happens while the screen is faded out. So if you wanted a character to move and you didn't want them to see the move, you'll have that all happen before the fade in screen here. So we're going to do the fade in screen here. And then you're going to set this up to where you like it. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a little king thing here. Yep, there it is. So he's just going to kind of sit there. And then you can go ahead and put in your text and stuff for whatever you want. Do that every time. And this can be pretty basic. Let's just say let's just put is everyone here. I'm not gonna mess with this too much right now, but you can change just like the other one, you can change the window look and where the text position is. I'm just gonna leave it pretty basic for now. Okay, but we're gonna do something, make this a little bit more complicated. So I'll show you how to make like a guard kind of show up. So we're just gonna call this guard, and then it's gonna be invisible to start. It's going to be invisible to start, and then we're going to do a new event page, the same thing, and go down and pick the guard that you want. And this one's going to require that a switch is on, so we don't know what switch that's going to be just yet. So interesting. Let's go ahead and fade in the screen. I'm going to go ahead and cut that for now. And we're going to do control a switch. Alright, I made a separate page of switches just for my intro because it takes a lot of switches. So you just change the maximum down here, and you can type in whatever number you want to change how many ever total you want. And then I use the second page of it to keep it all kind of separate and organized a little bit. So we're going to turn on intro 1 for that, and then turn on self switch A, and then we're going to create a new event page requiring self switch A to be on, right? Yeah. And this way the stuff will happen separate from this particular event. Okay. So now this is blank, but whenever the switch intro 1 is on, he shows up. Okay. And I use a separate event to control everything. So the king guy here won't have any or very few event commands himself. It's all going to be controlled from this auto run event over here. So cell switch A is on, so this shows up. Controls fade in screen, turn the thing on, so make that guy show up. Hang on, I'm missing something. What am I missing? I got this set up to where it should be. It should be blank, and then when this is on, he shows up. Oh, okay, so I don't need this yet. So that'll make that guy visible, and then we're going to insert a sound of a door opening. So we'll just hit, I think it's close, actually. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so the screen will fade in, the close sound will, you'll hear that, and then it'll turn that switch on, making that dude visible. So then, let's figure out how many steps we want to take. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 steps. You'll come into here, and then you'll hit set movement route. Make sure you turn off the player and go to the event you want to move. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And if you wanted to move faster before the move happens, up here you'll actually go ahead and change speed. 4 is a normal speed. If you want to walk slow, you'll go down a little bit. I mean, the faster you go and the slower you go, obviously it kind of makes them walk really slow or really fast. So like faster is kind of like a jog or like a quicker move, and then they're like sprinting under the fastest over here, number 6. But he can just walk normally because he's not in that big of a hurry right now. And then over here you got like wait for completion, skip if they can't move, and all that good stuff. But we're going to go ahead and do that. So what should happen is we load in, it plays that screen, gets you here, fades the screen back in, plays the sound, and then that dude shows up. So let's make sure that all this is working before I progress. And then you should walk up. And you'll keep walking up because it's an automatic event. At least I hope it is. I don't know if I set it to automatic. Oh, you got stuck in my invisible dude. Okay. So to fix that, so if your character's here, he still technically exists, he's just invisible. So to fix that, you're going to come in here, under that set movement route, you're going to, I don't need that, go ahead and set through on. So that way, if there's something in the way, he'll just walk right through it. And then make sure when you're done, you turn it off. Okay. So that should work. Walks right through it. And then we'll keep going because I don't have any other stuff. Okay, so that's all working good. So now that we got that set up, got the through on right there, we're going to make a new one, show text. And you can have it say whatever you want. And if I could type. And we'll center that back up like we had it. Good enough. Put that in the middle. The window's fine. Okay, so that everyone here. And I picked the face to go with it, so you know who's talking. And you just have a little dialogue back and forth between the two. I'll just put yes, sir. Oh, that doesn't need to be in the middle. That could be at the bottom. Okay. So now they're kind of talking back and forth. And then if you want something to kind of interrupt their conversation, I'm going to do that like I did on the other one. You're just going to go ahead and go and turn on another switch. I'm just going to call it intro 2. Come on. Okay. And then in order for that to work, we're going to have another event. And this is blank. We're going to call this, let's just have like a random, like another guard. We'll call it guard 2. Keep them separate. And a new event page. And yeah, it can be like a lesser guard. He's going to bring news from the front lines. And this is going to require that switch we just made. Oh, it's way down here. I don't want it down there. Okay. Now here's requiring that intro 2 is on. And we're going to do the same thing, play that little sound effect of the door opening. And then set a movement route. This time this guy's gonna move a little bit faster. So you're gonna pick guard 2. We're gonna go under here and change speed. We're gonna set him to 5. And then he's gonna move up. The other one was 7, so let's do like 8. So move a little bit further. And I forgot to turn through on, just in case there's something in the way. And then through off. Okay. So let's see how that works. Make sure that's working all good. This guy walks all nice and slow, shows up. That is not fair. I'll fix that later. Something's not right. Let's figure out what it is. Intro 2 is on. This is going. So that guy should show up, but he didn't. What did I miss? Oh, because this control switch is wrong. It's supposed to be this one. Okay, try it again. Look at that, worked great. All right, I'll go ahead and fix that. Okay. Apply. So now we got that going on. Then we're going to go ahead and set another text event. It's going to be that one guy we just made. Sir, I bring news from the front lines. More text dialogue, back and forth. What is it? And it's not real difficult, but it's kind of time consuming going back and forth like this. The troops are outnumbered by the enemy. Also worth mentioning, if you're typing out your text here, if you go past this little line, it'll look real weird, and I'll show you what it looks like. I'll just type in some random stuff. because that shows you where the edge of the dialog box is at, and if you go past it, it looks really, you can't kind of see it. It's strange. Like all this over here, kind of like I typed all the way out to here, but that looks okay. They're gonna go ahead and edit all that crap out of there. Okay, so we got that kind of as a basic thing. Now we got this set up. Cell switch A is on. And then, if you want to switch to the next intro scene, we're going to just go ahead and cap that there just to kind of, you can finish that dialogue out however you choose. But we are going to just transfer them somewhere else. Okay. Okay, that's all good. And just transfer the player into this one. And we're also going to turn on a self switch, just in case. And self switch A is on here, nothing happens. Awesome. Okay, so now this guy kind of exists invisibly somewhere in this area. And then you can come in and make your own little war scene with all your knights fighting. Copy, paste. Come on. Okay. And then their enemies, which I didn't make any for this particular thing, so it's going to look like they're fighting the same people, which is fine. Might change the commander person to somebody else. Like an evil person. Like this guy. Okay. So now these are all set up. You're going to go ahead and go in here, make your auto run event. We're going to call this intro 3. Make sure it's set to auto run. Just like the other ones, it's going to be very similar. Then you're going to show your text between the two people. Why are you here? I have come to take over your kingdom. I won't let that happen. Okay. So this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. So we're going to go ahead and set movement routes for all these people. But in order for them to all move at the same time and not one at a time, you're going to have to make sure that the wait for completion is turned off. And I didn't label any of these guards, so I'm kind of hoping that it's just these. And then you're going to figure out, you're going to do a lot of counting. So actually, we'll call this guard 1, guard 12 apparently. just so I know. Guard 2. And call this commander. And this is bad guy 1. Bad guy 2. And then bad guy commander, I don't know. Or let's just say very bad guy. There we go. Now I know which ones are which. So when I go into this event, oh, I didn't count. So I kind of want them to meet in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these can move 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm going here. Guard 1's going to move 5 to the right. Actually, I'm going to turn the speed up. So the speed is going to be 5 on each of these. And they're going to move to the right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then right here, wait for completion, turn that off. And then you're going to do that same thing for all of the guards. So guard 2 is going to turn his speed up. And then he's going to move 5 to the right. Okay. And then we're going to pick the bad guys. They're going to move 5 to the left with their speed up. Oh, I did not turn the weight off. That's important, actually. Turn it off before I forget about it. Okay. Now we got all the guards moved. We're going to go ahead and move the commander people. So commander is going to change his speed to 5. But he's also going to turn through on, so the two people like kind of overlap for a second. Do on, and then he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right. Turn off, wait for completion. And then the very bad guy. And he is going to change his speed. And also through on as well. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left. Okay. And the last one, the very last one you make in the row, make sure it does have wait for completion on. So all of them, in order to get them all move at the same time, none of them will have the wait for completion turned on except for the last guy. That way the events triggering after don't happen at the same time they're moving. So here, and then you can make like a little, like if you want like an attack to happen when it gets there, that's pretty easy. You're just going to go in here, and I believe it's show animation, wherever that's at. Oh, right there, show animation. And then you just pick whatever. So we're going to pick the commander guy. And then you can do any of the animations that you have under your settings or your database up here. So we're just going to do something kind of generic, like a general special. And we'll turn wait for completion. No, I am not turning that on. And then that should be good, because it should have its own sound effect. Let's see what happens. Cool. It worked. If you want this to be like rainy, like I did on the other one, it's pretty simple to do. So whenever it comes in, and that screen fades in, did I not do screen fade out and fade in? I didn't. So I'll go ahead and do that. Go ahead and fade in the screen. I'll go back to this other one real quick before I forget about it. And fade the screen out. I mean, it kind of does it on its own, but it's better if you control it. And there we go. So fade in the screen. We're going to go ahead and actually, before the screen fades in, set the weather effect. And you can set it for rain, storm, snow. I'm going to turn a storm on. Now be mindful that the storm doesn't actually play the sound effects. You have to put those in manually. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. So I'll go ahead and set it for storm. You can set the power of the storm. I'm going to turn it all the way up. And turn off wait for completion. Okay, so we got that. Weather effect is stormy. And then before the text happens, we're going to go in here and you're going to play a sound effect. And that is going to be the thunder. I'm going to actually make this screen flash too, but I'm going to find thunder in here. I like that one. There we go. So it's going to play thunder. We're going to go ahead and go in here. Flash screen. There it is. Well, maybe if I do wait for completion. Duration 60 frames. Actually, I'm going to turn that to 30 and see what happens. Okay, so it'll turn on the rain, fade the screen in, it'll flash the screen real fast and play the thunder sound. And that should be good. Let's see what happens when that works. Make sure that's all working good. There's going to be a lot of play testing every time you make a little bit of a change, just to make sure that nothing kind of overlaps another thing. Make sure everything's working really smoothly. Okay, something I didn't like. Maybe it's the wait for completion. So it seemed to fade in the screen and then play the flash almost back to back, and it seemed kind of weird. So maybe I'll just delete that for now. Okay. Now we got the special going on. What we're going to do now is going to go ahead and fade out the screen and the background music. Fade out the background music. The seconds is how long it takes to actually fade out. I kind of make it as short as I can. And then fade out the screen. Okay. Now that we got all this kind of set up, it's going to fade that screen out and place you back into your normal town. So go ahead and back into here, set the auto run event. You're going to transfer the player. Into this. Was it here? Yep. Transfer wherever you want him to go. And we're going to make him face down. Okay. And that's good for the intro scene. Now that we have this kind of set up, there's a couple things you need to do before you actually go back into it. So we're going to make an auto run event on this town. When they show up, I'm just going to label it part of the intro. I'll call it intro 4. It's going to set to auto run. And we're going to change transparency of the player to off first. and then going to fade the screen back in. And then you're going to turn the self switch A on, create a new page requiring A to be on. That way it doesn't keep just doing that same thing over and over. Okay, so that should work. Turn the transparency off, fade the screen back in, and turn this event off. Whenever I do this here, control self switch A or whatever, the last one, and then require the next page being blank, requiring that switch on, is basically just turning your auto run event off so it doesn't keep looping over and over again. So that is kind of important to make sure that when you're done, use the next self switch or whatever switch you want to use to turn on, and then require the next blank page to require that switch on. Otherwise, that auto run event will just keep looping over and over and over again. So that is important. Just make sure you're doing that. Cool. And then I'm here and I can run it. Awesome. Now, you have especially if you make a really long intro scene and you don't want to watch that intro scene every time, there's a quick thing you can do. You can just call this, I'm going to call this bypass intro. And this one's not going to require anything. And it's just going to be an auto run event. And all it's going to do is transfer the player to your town, wherever you want it. So this is set to auto run. You come in here, and then make sure you go in here and make sure you require a self switch to be on. I'll just pick B just because. So that way you just kind of bypass this thing. So this, instead of when it shows up instead of a long time ago and all this won't happen. It will pick the other one because it doesn't require anything. So now if I hit a new game, this is where you can keep testing your game without watching the intro every time you log into play. So, but before you're done messing with it, make sure you just delete this event. You just come in here and just delete it. You just right click on it, hit delete. That way, so you can make a really long, complex intro scene, and then you don't want to watch it literally every time you make a small change. You can just come in here and bypass it that way. Just make sure that this requires something that will never turn on, and then this is set to auto run. That way you don't have to watch your intro scene every single time. But that's good enough for now. That covers basics on how to make an intro scene. You can be as detailed as you want, putting a bunch of stuff in here. You can put just random guards and stuff just kind of walking around if you choose. Whatever you want, just decorate it and be as detailed as you like. And it's pretty simple and cut and dry. Also be in mind that you can't paste an event on top of an event. So these two, that's why these aren't side by side of this person walking in. So that's kind of, it's kind of a downfall, but it's not that big of a deal. So just make sure that if you want two people to walk through the same door, if you want that to happen, you can have an extra line down here or move all these up and this one to walk through from behind it. And you can just have like a black line through here or however you want to do it, but you can't paste an event on an event. They can only be one per square. And then that should cover the basics on how to make your own intro. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and happy creating.